YouTube, Subconscious Experience. Welcome back to my channel, guys. Much love. It's been a few days since I made a video, guys. Guys, title of this video is Stay Single Until Somebody Comes Along and Compliments You Enough to where being with them is better than being single. Feel me, guys? I saw a little short on Instagram, about this, and it inspired me, to make my version of this, and I've made a lot of different versions of this. It's that isolation period from God. I've made a couple other videos called, the incubation period, to where, guys, as men, we have to have a period of time where, whether it be 1 year to 5 years, guys, to where we're single. And I'm talking single, bro. Like us and God. All right. It's a perfect complement to going on the SR journey as well, because it really gets you tapped in with God. First and foremost, and along that pathway, you guys, you start to realize that that's all you need as a man, as a powerful man who is has a spiritual side to him and a spiritual connection to God. Guys, we don't need women. We really do not need women. And this is not a knock to women as well. I mean, obviously, women are absolutely amazing. Starting a family is a very beautiful and a noble thing, for guys to do. I'm just saying, if push comes to shove, you don't necessarily need a woman, bro. You really don't. The Bible says if you can't stay... if you can't abstain from sexual immorality, it's better to stay single. God literally says that in the Bible. It's better to stay single because you have a stronger connection with God as you're single. So, guys, if we can figure this out to where we're okay just by ourselves, we don't need the women in our lives, bro, you become a very powerful dude, and that's kind of what I've been experiencing lately, and I know a lot of you guys can relate with me. And this isn't, like I said, this isn't to say that women are bad and to just avoid relationships altogether. No, bro. If you find someone, like the title of this video, it says, till you find somebody that complements your life, another woman of God, obviously, make the checklist of all the different, criterias that you need to have a partner, to someone, to be with and, spend the rest of your life or a significant amount of your life with, start a family, something like that, you guys. Someone who's going to complement your life enough that adding this person into your life is better than staying single, So, and guys, that is, I feel like it's pretty rare, you know what I'm saying? It's pretty rare, it's kind of like a soulmate situation. It's definitely a spiritual connection. If, you are working on yourself and you're working on your connection with God, it better be a spiritual woman. You know what I'm saying? It better be somebody who is tapped in just equally as you. The term is like equally yoked. Equally yoked means, whatever spiritual plane that you're on, your partner has to be on that level too, right? You can't be over here putting God first and on semen retention, and you're just up here, to the moon, and then you're starting hanging out with some Jezebel female who's down here, and she's always like smoking weed or drinking or low vibrational stuff. I know a lot of guys that try to manage that, and I've done that a lot in my life, to where you're on a different spiritual plane, and then you're trying to interact with a female who is, I don't know, you're just with her because maybe you think she looks good, or you want validation from people. There's a whole list of things, but essentially you're with the wrong person. You know what I'm saying? So let me get into this a little bit, you guys. Stay single until somebody comes along that complements your life, bro, enough that it's better to add this person in your life than you remain single. All right, guys, first of all, it's not worth it to be with someone just because you feel lonely. It's not worth it to just be going out there and trying, all these dating apps that are out there now. Anything like that, you guys, to where you're just throwing yourself into the grinder. Shout out to my boy Martin. That's his phrase right there. But throwing yourself into the grinder, you know what I'm saying? The dating grinder, to where you're just like trying all these different things. It's because you feel lonely. So you're essentially throwing yourself out there and getting involved with all these different people because you're not okay by yourself. And that's a red flag. You know, God wants us to be able to learn how to be comfortable by ourselves, form a connection with Him, so that we can learn how to be comfortable single. You don't need anybody in your life, bro. God is more than enough. God is way more powerful than any female is ever going to give you. I know that it's hard to realize that because, you know, females can give us, you know, that nurturing comfort, that feeling of safety, that love, you know. But when you really start to tap in with God, you realize that He has all those things on a whole nother level, you know. So it's really powerful, man, and it takes time and effort. All right, and you end up, guys, you can end up with the wrong person when, like I said, if you're just throwing yourself into the grinder, like I just said, end up with the wrong person, bro, and then you end up forming a soul tie with somebody who's not the right person. That's happened to me with my last relationship. You know what I'm saying? You end up hanging out with these different females because you think they look good, or you think that they just are a good suitor for you, but you guys aren't on the same spiritual plane. You aren't equally yoked, right? And yeah, like I said, you're with them because they might look good, or you just want to smash. There's a whole list of things that it could be, but then you end up forming a soul tie. You guys, if you initiate a connection with somebody physically first, you know, if you meet up with a girl, she comes over to your house, you guys smash, you know, right away. You start getting into each other, and then you start, you know, I love you, all this and that. And that connection formed just from smashing, but you're forming a soul tie from physical interaction. All right, and that's not going to end well. All right, you should always start first with, you know, trying to be their friend, forming a friendship first, forming a spiritual connection, you know, with their spirit, with their personality, not with their body, bro. That is living in the flesh. All right, that's literally going to lead you to destruction. All right, guys. You end up with the wrong person, you end up forming a soul tie. That's what happened to me, guys. And I wouldn't say wasted, you know, I did a lot of research with the last girl I was with. It was like 5 or 6 years, you guys. Definitely a soul tie situation. It was hard to end that relationship, and she wasn't the right girl for me, bro. You know, I learned a lot, obviously, but it was a situation that caused a lot of pain, you know, when it was over. It caused a lot of pain. And I'm grateful for it now, but guys, you know, I could have avoided it, and I could have been in a different situation, you know. So, you know, you can really avoid a lot of this crazy stuff when you put God first. You know what I'm saying? He can really help straighten your paths in this department. All right, guys. God forbid, you know, what I just said, you form a soul tie, but you could also end up forming, like starting a life with this person, with the wrong person, because, like I said, you're out here throwing yourself into the grinder because you're lonely, all right, and you think you need somebody to make you okay, but you don't, all right, so you're going out and you're chasing all these different people, and you end up wasting time, and you could potentially start a family with them, you know, get married. That's why you see a lot of people that are married, but they're not happy. You know, they get divorced, you know what I'm saying, because they got married too quick, you know. They got married out of lust, you know, they got married out of just a lot of these temporary emotions that go on, you know, between people. So, guys, we really got to start working on staying in your masculine frame, putting God first, and focusing on your mission and focusing on your connection with God, and then attracting somebody. You know, not chasing, not going out there. Real men attract women naturally. You know, real spiritual men who have a nice, powerful, masculine, confident aura are going to attract women naturally. All right, guys? And this isolation period that we're in, you know, being single or whatever, it's from God. And it's for us to grow our connection with God, first and foremost, so that we can get as strong as we can be. And this whole time that we're doing this, you guys, you know, the analogy that I like to use, I was talking to boy Tim earlier about this, but it's like a piggy bank. Every single day, it's like spiritual money. You're stacking money into that piggy bank, right? Every day that you aren't going on those dating apps and trying to find, a temporary girl to chill with or smash, it's like you're building up that spiritual piggy bank. All of a sudden, a really beautiful, righteous, spiritual woman is going to come across you, and she's going to see that you have this big spiritual piggy bank, right? It's all spiritual, but she's going to see that you're glowing. She's going to see that you have a powerful aura. She's going to see that you're confident. She's going to see that you're a man of God, right? And she's going to want, bro, she's going to be all over you, dude. You know what I mean? And it's going to be a woman that is beyond your expectations, and it's going to be a woman who can add to your life, bro. A woman who can add to, like I said, complement your life enough to where you're willing to leave the safety of being single to add this person into your life. All right, guys? That's what we have to do. Stay single for a period of time till we find somebody that will enhance our life and not just be with someone just because we're lonely. All right, guys? I've seen so many people that do that. And a lot of people think that, you've got to have a girl, you know what I'm saying, to be cool, Post pictures on social media with the girl, It's like, bro, come on. Like, be a man and understand that being single is not a bad thing. All right, you're learning how to protect your energy, and you're learning how to find the right partner for you, bro, so you don't end up in an unhappy marriage like a large percentage of people end up, right? So many people that just, get the divorce rates are through the roof nowadays, especially with all this lust, people, like I said, soul tie city, people are smashing all the time and then just forming soul ties and just getting into a relationship with the wrong people, guys. So, all right, y'all, hopefully y'all got something from this. As always, man, stay single until someone comes along that is equally yoked or enhances your life to where you can leave your safety bubble, and be with someone. But until then, bro, stay single, protect your energy, focus on God first, as always, and your mission. All right, guys, hopefully y'all got something out of this, and I will catch y'all later, man. Much love. Peace.